courage and leadership. Today I'm going to talk about courage and leadership and how to develop that courage. Here we go.
Hey, my name is Drew, and I've had the opportunity to be connected with highly influential people throughout my career. I've also spent countless hours studying the activities, actions, and qualities of influential people. My goal with this channel is to help you increase your influence in the workplace. If you have something to say, something to sell, or something significant to do, you've got to increase your influence, and that is what this channel is here for. Stay to the end because I have a free assessment where you can measure your influence, and I'll tell you how to get that at the end of the video.
Have you ever had butterflies in your stomach? Maybe it was preparing to give a speech, stepping on a stage, picking up the phone to have a tough conversation, asking someone out on a date. You get these butterflies in your stomach. What that is it's our fight or flight response. And it's what doctors call, as part of our sympathetic system in our body. It really goes back to when there were saber-toothed tigers and we had to run from them, right? Or maybe you have to run from a dog in your neighborhood. That sensation is the blood leaving your stomach, going to your extremities, your hands and your feet, so that you can have blood to those areas where you can fight or you can run away from danger. You know, we need a lot of blood after we eat a meal to be in our stomach so we can digest our food. That's what kind of makes us sleepy. But if we're being attacked by something or we're perceived danger, then that blood goes to our extremities and leaves our stomach, and that's how we get that feeling in our stomach. Now, why do I say that? Why does that matter? Well, I think it matters because we need to understand that this is just a normal body function. It doesn't mean that you're not good at something. It doesn't mean that you're lacking courage. Yeah, maybe you're afraid, but courage is not the absence of fear. It's the overcoming of it, right? So having that body function, that response where maybe we get a little sweaty and there's blood running to our hands and to our feet, that's totally normal. And we can just understand it for what it is. Now, why do we have to have courage in leadership, and why does it matter with our influence? Because this channel is dedicated to you increasing your influence. Well, let me say this. Anybody worth following has made a bold move in their life. Anybody that is worthy of influencing my life or yours has made some bold moves. They made a bold career decision. They made a bold relationship decision, whether to begin a relationship or end one. They've made a bold decision to make statements, to share their opinions emphatically and unapologetically. And it's those kind of people that influence our society, influence our world, influence our lives. And that's really what I call courage in personal leadership, in leading yourself. Courage in your own life, courage in your way of doing things. It's a confidence thing. I have a video on confidence, how to build your confidence, right up here in the cards, and you can view that video. But I want to ask you a question. Respond in the comments. How would you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 as it relates to courage in personal leadership? Just off the top of your head. I don't have an assessment for it. I just want you to ask yourself, what's the number that comes to mind for you? Is it 6? Is it 5? Is it 2? Is it 10? What is that number? And then maybe answer why you rated yourself that way below. I'd love to know. I'd love to understand and have a conversation with you. But today I want to give you 3 tips on how you can build or how you can further develop your courage. Now, before I share those 3 tips with you, I want to share with you a story that'll illustrate these 3 tips. And I'm going to call the person in the story Janet. This is a previous client. Her name wasn't Janet, by the way. And we'll say that she was an accountant, an aspiring CPA, but at this time in her life, she was an accountant. And Janet came to me for coaching, and part of what we were working on is really her confidence. And as we were meeting, I found out that Janet had a way of doing things, or she believed she had a way of doing things that she wanted to do, but she wasn't confident to do it her way. And she worked for a small company. It was just her and her boss, who was a CPA. And so she had the opportunity to meet with clients and onboard those clients into the organization. And she had done it how she was instructed to do it, but it was kind of wonky and it was kind of off the cuff. It wasn't very planned. And Janet was a planner. And Janet had thought through and looked at the experiences that she had in onboarding previous clients this way in the organization. She said, you know what? I think there's a better way. And she came up with her own way, but she wasn't confident enough. She wasn't bold enough to share that way of doing it with her clients. And so she didn't do it. And she just kind of lived with the status quo. So we were in our coaching session and I asked her about her way and why she thought her way was going to be the best way and why she thought it would be better for the client and better for the organization and be more efficient and more effective. And that ultimately her boss might even like it, but she was lacking so much courage that she couldn't step forward in it. So I just told her, I said, look, what we need to do is you need to go in there on this next onboarding meeting that's tomorrow, and you need to do it Janet's way. And I gave her a pep talk, my best pep talk, okay? And I just said, you need to do it Janet's way, and you need to say, hey, this is Janet's way. This is the way that I go about onboarding new clients. And I might not be a CPA yet, but by golly, I've done some accounting and I've onboarded some clients before. And I know that there's a better way. And I'm going to do it my way and live with the consequences. And she went in there and she did it her way. And sure enough, her boss loved it. He applauded her for it. And the client said that was the most efficient onboarding process I've ever been a part of. And I'm confident in your ability to deliver because that process was so smooth. So let me give you those 3 tips because Janet did these 3 tips. Tip number 1, recognize the consequences of inaction. You've got to recognize and you've got to really feel the weight. See, Janet knew that if she didn't have that next onboarding meeting Janet's way, she was going to be frustrated. She was going to have to go back and kind of redo this onboarding process over and over again. And that frustration was greater than the courage that it was required for her to just step out and do things her way and make this bold action and this decision to lead herself, to push beyond the butterflies and to take courage and say, look, boss, I want to do it this way. And I think it's going to be more effective and really own it for herself and have confidence. You've got to recognize the consequences of inaction. Tip number 2, you've just got to take the first step of courage. And that step might not even be a step. It might just kind of be a falling forward into that next move. For her, that next step was actually bringing it up with me. That step of courage was her saying, you know what? I'm terrified to do this, but I just feel compelled for you as my coach to share it with you. So what does that mean for you? That means get a coach, get a mentor, get an accountability partner, get a good friend that will listen to you and that will encourage you to take bold and courageous steps that will hold you accountable to yourself and hold you accountable to move forward in your career and take courageous personal leadership steps for yourself and for advancement in your career. Number 3, live with the consequences of your decision. I would so much rather take a bold move and live with the consequences than wonder for the rest of my life, what if I had been bold? What if I had been courageous? What if I had stepped out and tried? What if I had pushed beyond? So I'd much rather live with the consequences of action than the regrets of inaction. And so that's what Janet did. She stepped out, she did it, she made a bold move, and in her case, it ended up working out. I'm not going to tell you that in every circumstance, when I've made a bold move, when I made a bold statement, when I've kind of made my stand and placed my flag in the ground and said, look, this is what I believe, this is what, it doesn't always go perfectly. It doesn't always go right. It doesn't always work out. But I would much rather live with the consequences of being bold and courageous than those regrets that I mentioned of inaction. American writer Elbert Hubbard says to avoid criticism, be nothing, do nothing, and say nothing. I'm not willing to do that, and I hope that you are not willing to do that either, but you step out with boldness, with courageous personal leadership, and you just make that first step towards courage. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it helps you. I hope you take a courageous step today in your personal leadership.
If you found value from this video, please like and subscribe to the channel. To receive the free influence assessment, simply click on the link below that says Influence Assessment. If you have any questions or comments about influence, please comment below and I will look forward to connecting with you. Always remember, increase your influence, realize your dream.